I saw this tweet from the United Nations. The Twitter bio of the account says this: the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, helps humanitarian organizations save the lives of people caught in crises. Wow, saving the lives of people in a crisis. That sounds like a pretty tough job. And so this is what they're up to. Hate speech incites violence and intolerance, undermines diversity and social cohesion, harms peace and development. The International Day for Countering Hate Speech. Learn more about the impacts and actions you can take to say no to hate. And look at that image. A hand grenade that says words can be weapons, which is literally untrue. I mean, it's a metaphor, it's a figure of speech, but they mean it literally. A word is not a weapon. You can use words like violence or assaulted or hurt about words, but you don't actually get assaulted or hurt like you do with guns or hand grenades. Hurt your feelings, maybe, but nothing more. And the very fact that they're trying to co-opt the words and imagery of actual violence sort of gives it away. They don't want to admit that they're just coming in as censors. They want to pretend it's different in some way, that they're actually coming out against violence, when in fact they're precisely coming against just your speech. But can someone please tell me what hate speech is? I know what hate is. It's a human emotion. It's a natural emotion like love, contempt, respect. These are feelings or emotions. You can't just turn them off. They're hardwired in you, by the way. After countless generations, they're part of being human. You can no more ban the emotion of hate than you can prescribe the emotion of love. You just can't. You have to govern your hate. You have to control yourself, not like a baby maybe. You have to turn your feelings into something productive and positive, but you can't turn off your feelings. And in fact, if someone simply tells you not to feel a feeling, don't you always feel it more? Don't love him. Don't hate me. When you're told you can't feel a feeling, it doesn't turn it off. So that's hate. And speech is obvious, isn't it? It's an expression of your ideas, what you think and feel, your imagination, your plans, your ideas, how you react to things. And some of it will be motivated by love, some by hate, some by just the processes of your day. But if you truly or love or hate something, you will likely be moved to express it. How many crummy pop songs are being written because someone felt in love? Well, people speak out because they feel the emotion of hate too. And I think that on average, that's probably a good thing, because speaking is peaceful. Speaking is not violence. Speaking is a safety valve, or it can be, especially if you take your negative emotions and transform them into a call for positive action to fix the underlying grievance that has caused you the painful feeling of hate. Hate typically comes from a sense of injustice or another grievance. You're not going to get someone to turn off those feelings until you fix the problem underneath it. In a psychoanalyst's couch, you might have to dig deep into a person to find out what is causing them feelings of anger. In the political sphere, people often tell you what is causing their anger. And they might be wrong, and they might be right, and they might be mistaken, they might be unfair. But in our democratic society with our civil liberties, we invite people to air their grievances in the public square and to negotiate with others and to find a harmonious outcome. Sometimes, by the way, people just want to be heard. They want to feel like they have some control or power over their own lives. By the way, we lost a lot of that over the last 3 years. People had terrible grievances, genuine grievances, and injustices done to them. People were attacked by the folks who claim they care. People's funerals and weddings were canceled. People's churches were closed. Their businesses were closed. Their schools were closed. They were fired if they didn't take a medicine they didn't understand or want. And don't tell me the government didn't whip up hate itself. Look at this hate monger.
You deserve a government that's going to continue to say, get vaccinated. And you know what? If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train beside vaccinated people.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other.
Yeah, we were lied to for 3 years about everything. We were harmed economically, socially, even physically. There are feelings of hate out there, and the answer is to air it out, to give people a forum to hear them and to address their concerns. Truth and reconciliation, as they say. Trudeau's move, of course, is to denounce anyone with concerns as racist or whatever.
Sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination,
Ils sont extrémistes.
qui ne croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on tolère ces gens?
He always does that, doesn't he? Always. So that's hate and that's speech. But you put the two words together and they come up with some new idea. Hate speech. What is that? Words are words. Ideas are ideas. The facts are correct or not. The opinions are reasonable or not. But what does hate have to do with that? Can you say the exact same words, the exact same sentence twice? But the first time you have hard feelings in your heart, and the second time you don't. Is the first instance illegal and the second is fine? Why does it make a difference what you feel in your heart, what words you say? Can you oppose vaccine mandatory jabs if you're full of love, but not if you're full of hate? And who can tell, by the way? Isn't the whole notion of hate speech just like the notion of disinformation and misinformation? It's just a way for one side to denounce the other side. I have an opinion. He has disinformation. I am motivated by passion. He is motivated by hate speech. Really, isn't it just an attempt to criminalize disagreement, to shut it down, shut it off before it even begins? Isn't it just a form of cancel culture, a form of nationalizing the language, of having governments in a position to tell us what we can or can't say, and therefore what we can or can't think? And imagine the United Nations doing that, the UN, an unelected body dominated by Russia and China and Iran and every dictatorship in the world. Not that Joe Biden or Rishi Sunak or Justin Trudeau are much better. So let's look at what the UN has to say. If you click the link on that tweet, you come to this page on the UN's website. Countering dark age of intolerance starts by tackling hate speech. While there's so much in so few words there, a dark age of intolerance, really. And the way to stop it is by tackling hate speech, really? By censorship? That's the way to bring us out of the dark ages, is censorship. So censorship is not the problem, it's the cure, is it? Let's read a bit. From institutionalized racism to genocide, the roots are the same, according to people on the front lines of change who shared their stories with UN News ahead of the International Day for Countering Hate Speech, observed on Sunday. Hey, did you observe the holiday? But hang on. Institutionalized racism, I know what that is. That's like South African apartheid, or it's like genocide, which means murdering people who are part of a particular ethnicity. That's not hate speech. That's actual physical violence or actual actions, like racist laws. The very headline shows that the problem isn't words, it's laws or physical violence. And the absence of laws to protect people from physical violence, in both cases, free speech is the solution, not the problem. That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.